Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. This is apparently one of the scariest episodes of Doctor Who, and I can definitely see why. This is probably the scariest story out of the first series, definitely. And one of the scariest for a long time. In fact, this is something that bothers me about Doctor Who, nowadays anyway. It's not that scary, and for me, Series 1 is the scariest series. That is my personal opinion. It could be because I was younger then. But I still think it's the scariest series. In retrospective, I think it doesn't scare me as such, but it scares me more than sort of modern episodes. So hearing that Series 8 is going to be darker according to Ben Wheatley, and it's going to be more like classic Doctor Who in that sense, I'm all for it, in all honesty. And for all those people who don't like Series 1, I honestly don't know why. I think Series 1 gets a bit too much stick. I think it's a really good series. But why is it scary? Well, the basic idea of this child that, you know, is just a child at the end of the day with a gas mask, but the fact that something so innocent spreads the disease, and it's very creepily done. It's almost like dolls. You get these creepy dolls in films, and they really sort of creep you out. Even though they're just dolls, you see that sort of thing on the street, but they creep you out. This is something that Steven Moffat managed to create really well, in the same way of the peg dolls in Night Terrors. Of course, it's a different writer, but it's the same sort of basic idea, getting something that's very innocent and turning it into something scary. Same with the Weeping Angels. I think it's really quite a scary concept, and Scar. I think the various different elements of the story, the way they set up each appearance, I think, for instance, when Dr. Constantine, Richard Wilson, you see the scar across his hand as he's talking about it. And the way he starts coughing, and the Doctor's not really noticing it, and suddenly he turns around and realises there is something wrong with him, and his face forms into a gas mask. I think that is a terrifying scene, and it does make you feel, ooh. It's a scary episode. However, amongst all this, it does have Captain Jack Harkness. I feel the sort of comedy, in a way, it sort of works in the episode. You kind of need it, otherwise it'd be too dark for Doctor Who. I mean, that's the only fault with Tortured Children of Earth. I think they should have had more jokes in it, especially considering how dark it was. But, you know, all things considered, I think it works for this episode. And Captain Jack works as a character, and it's nice to see someone sort of different come onto the TARDIS team who isn't Adam. And in all honesty, I think it works, the Ninth Doctor Rose and Captain Jack, because they both got strong personalities, but they're completely different. Captain Jack's way into the future, and God knows what his history's like. Rose is from modern day, and, you know, she's a bit lippy, and then the Doctor's eternal from the planet Gallifrey, which was apparently destroyed. Note I said apparently. So, yeah, the personalities clash, but you can still tell that they get on. My one fault with this episode, though, is the concentration on dancing. It's not a fault as such, I'm not too fond of it, personally. I feel it's a bit too overbearing for me. I think for younger kids, they're not going to notice anything. However, I don't know, it depends. It depends on how you feel about such things, but I do feel that basic concept is a bit strange. It's Steven Moffat's own way of when he was subtle. Of course, Time of the Doctor, the innuendos were a bit too much, but still, focusing on this story, it's still a very good story, very scary. People do pick plot holes in how does a child do this, how does a child do that. Who cares? I mean, you can pick plot holes like that in pretty much every horror movie, as far as I can tell. So, who cares? It's scary, and it works for the story. I mean, I think it works fine for me. and it really helps to build that creepy sense. For instance, the typewriter scene is another one. The little boy stops typing on the typewriter, and Nancy keeps on looking away. You're not really paying attention to that unless, of course, you know it's going to happen. And all the children listening to her until she says something along the lines of, "Then what's typing on that typewriter?" And they all turn around and they see the typewriter's typing itself. I think that's pretty scary, you gotta admit. And there's sort of a jump scare where they're in the room and the tape stops and they're still hearing the "Mummy," and they turn around and the child's there in front of them. That's scary too. It's just the way they don't notice it, and they do that so much in the 2 episodes that I think it works. Also, the lighting's very effective in the cinematography, and it really blends well. I mean, you wouldn't know from this episode what kind of budget they had for it. And all the zombies and everything. It's scary, but it's still a very good episode. You can pick out little niggles with it, but, you know, it's very good. I think the whole idea of the "don't wander off" and then Nighthawk comes out and is like, "I told her not to wander off," and he gets the cat and everything. I think that's a good bit. And of course the TARDIS phone is a fake. I think that's a good idea. I mean, some will complain about the Bells St. John. First of all, this is a different make of TARDIS. Second of all, it's a different phone, so who knows. It's an interesting concept, and you know, the episode manages to get across these sort of scares very easily. Christopher Eccleston is very good, Billie Piper's very good, John Barrowman's very good, Richard Wilson is very good. I mean, I was kind of expecting him to say, "I don't believe it," but no, you don't get any of that. Slight pity, but I guess it's meant to be a serious episode, so it works. It manages to get across the historical setting very well. As I said, it works. It's a really engaging story. And the music is fantastic by Murray Gold, so you do have a really good story here. I do have a few little things. I won't go into everything because I don't want to ruin the episode for people. So overall, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. It's a good episode. I mean, I do have a couple of things I'm not too keen on. However, it's still really good. And I enjoy it. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.